Yeah, I said it ain't no running. I'm really dropping the pain. The famous back in the game. You better walk away. No running. I really do what I do. I'm breaking just like the news.
So yeah, we're watching the best SmackDown wrestler from every year from 1999 to 2025. Last video that we did of Wrestle With Andy, shout out to him. Keep dropping bangers. We did the best NXT wrestler from every year. Now we're doing SmackDown. It is going to be some interesting ones on here. I can't wait. I'm pretty sure number one has to be The Rock because it's his show. Other than that, let's get into it, man.
Exception at the end of the 90s, SmackDown has been one of the major brands of WWE TV. And a big part of the reason for that is the roster who have adorned the blue brand over the years. But just who was the best member of this roster during every 12-month period, though? Well, that's exactly what we are going to be looking at right now, starting with the best of 1999,
Easy.
The Rock. Come on now, how could there be any other choice for this? After all, back in '99 when SmackDown first hit the airwaves, the People's Champion was about the hottest thing going, especially as Stone Cold Steve Austin was on the verge of leaving for an indefinite amount of time in order to go get neck surgery. And this was evident in the fact that the newest show in the WWE portfolio was named after the Anoa'i family member. That said, this isn't the only reason he deserves the spot of Best of SmackDown's inaugural year, as he was also killing it in just about every week here, whether it was during a promo or in a match. Would this star attraction status carry over once 1999 was over? Why, yes it would. In fact, things would only get stronger for the Great One at that point. With it being here, he fully became the top act in the entire promotion. And that's exactly why he's also our choice for Best of 2000 on the Blue Brand.
That's kind of cheating,
yes,
bro.
If 1999 was all about The Rock helping to establish
that's kind of
this new
cheating,
show,
bro.
then 2000 was about him taking it to the next level. And while it might seem easy to assume he'd be up to the task of doing this looking back on it now, it wasn't a given that Dwayne Johnson would be able to keep WWF as hot as it had been during the late 90s after the rattlesnake had been felled by injury. But never doubt the superstar presence of the Great One, because with him spending the majority of the year either holding the WWF title or chasing it, he was able to turn Thursday nights into the most electrifying night of the week every time he appeared on screen. So good was he here, in fact, many to this day still consider 2000 to be WWE's best year creatively. Of course, by the time 2001 came around, though, the People's Champion would no longer be the top act, as by that point we'd see the return of our next subject, Steve Austin.
Pulls up, three-pointer, bang! Bang! It's good! Wins the game at the buzzer!
Sure, 2001 wasn't a great year for WWF overall, as
I thought they was going to say Triple H 2001. I know Triple H got to be one of these, though.
Spectacularly. And to make matters even worse, for the majority of the year, everyone's favorite babyface would be playing the heel in a move absolutely no one asked for. Still, though, while this heel turn led to a downturn in business overall, there was a lot of great stuff that Austin did in 2001 while he was over on the Blue Brand specifically. That's right. Whether it was his comedy double act with Kurt Angle, his brief return to being the old Stone Cold, or his paranoid leader of the Alliance character, 2001 SmackDown saw the Bionic Redneck quietly do some of his best work ever. It's just a shame no one appreciated it at the time because everyone wanted him to just be the badass they'd first fallen in love with in 1997. And as he grew frustrated with his creative too, he'd end up walking out on the company in 2002, with this leaving the moniker of Best SmackDown Act to move over to Brock Lesnar.
Pulls up, three-pointer,
Bro.
bang! It's good!
What?
The game at the buzzer!
Man, Brock Lesnar in 2002, crazy. Bro, next, give him the booze. Bro, Brock Lesnar popping up and been destroying folks. I'm telling you. Brock Lesnar, and the fact that 2002 was his rookie year and Brock Lesnar like just popped up in 2002 and just started messing folks up like off rip is crazy. But yeah, 2002 I could yeah.
Instead. That's right. Back in 2002, Brock Lesnar was nothing short of a phenomenon, as upon making a spectacular debut on the night after WrestleMania 18, he'd spend the next few months rising up the card at lightning speed, with many of his greatest moments here happening on SmackDown. Moments like the time he beat Hulk Hogan clean in the middle of the ring.
He had a best match with Undertaker in Hell in a Cell.
Once he won the undisputed title from The Rock at SummerSlam in August, the Beast would become a Blue Brand exclusive as he took the top prize over there full time. What would he do from here? Well, he'd defend that belt against all comers, in the process helping to make the Blue Brand a cool one to watch during the early days of the brand extension. Come 2003, though, even Brock Lesnar would have...
I don't remember him doing that to Cena. Why he do that to Cena? I don't, not my guy. Why he do that to Cena, bro?
Defend that belt against all comers, in the process helping to make the Blue Brand the cool one to watch during the early days of the brand extension.
Oh my God,
bro! Though, even Brock Lesnar would have met his
Why
match,
he do that to
as
Cena?
This was the point Kurt Angle fully rose to prominence on Thursday night.
I can see that.
Sure, pretty much ever since SmackDown began, Kurt Angle had been an important part of the show. But
Your
it wasn't
boy.
until 2003 that he arguably became
In a
the face
man's
of the whole
world.
thing. How did he do this? Well, by spending large chunks of the year in possession of the WWE title. And when he wasn't in possession of the gold, he was usually feuding with Brock Lesnar over it, with it being this which gave us their classic Iron Man match, arguably the best match to ever appear on the Blue Brand, even to this day. Yes, as the old guard of Steve Austin and The Rock exited stage right, and as Triple H took control of Raw, it was the Olympic hero who really rose to the occasion here by true.
So I'm gonna guess the next. I say the next three. The next three: Cena, Batista, and I want to say Taker. But I think it's going to be Kurt again. So, yeah. I'm going to name those three next.
Making SmackDown special. That said, he wasn't alone in this. Now, he also had his Smackdown 6 cohorts helping him out, 5 other people whose numbers included Edge, Chris Benoit, Rey Mysterio, Chavo Guerrero.
Hold on. Who did they say? Who did they say? Hey, Mike, who did they say?
5 other people whose numbers included Edge, Chris Benoit.
My bad.
Rey Mysterio, Chavo Guerrero, and our choice for the best.
Oh, Eddie. Okay. I didn't even think about Eddie.
What made 2004 such a special year for
I didn't
Eddie
even
Guerrero
think
over
about
on Thursday
Eddie.
Nights? Well, for one, this was the year
Okay.
where, after a long journey spent trying to get sober, he was finally able to beat his demons and rise all the way to the top of the card. And the way he did this was by beating Brock Lesnar at No Way Out in the spring to become WWE champion, and then spending the next few months representing the Blue Brand as its top dog, including during a banger against Kurt Angle at WrestleMania. Hell, even after he lost the belt in the summer, Latino Heat would continue to be the heart and soul of SmackDown in many ways. But even if this was the case, none of that would be enough to see Eddie maintain his status as top dog of the brand heading into 2005, as that year, it would be all about
I said Batista.
Now, if you weren't watching at the time,
I said Batista. I thought it was going to be Cena, Batista, and then Taker or who did I say? Taker or Kurt. So, but anyway, Batista.
it's impossible to overstate just how big of a deal Dave Batista felt like in 2005, as after beating Triple H to win the World Heavyweight title in the main event of WrestleMania 21, he'd go on to defeat the game multiple times over in subsequent pay-per-views, firmly establishing himself as a top guy in the process. And it was as he was really reaching his apex that he'd be moved over to SmackDown full-time to there serve as the new face of that brand.
Yep.
That's right. While John Cena was being moved over to the flagship, the Animal would be tasked with keeping the magic alive over on Thursday nights, something he proved very adept at doing. Unfortunately, though, by the time 2006 was dawning, a tricep injury would force Big Dave onto the shelf temporarily, meaning the spot of Best SmackDown Act of that year would instead move.
What?
Quack, quack.
King Booker. 2006. Oh, snap. I wasn't expecting that, bro. I was not expecting that, bro. Man, shucky ducky, quack, quack.
Oh my goodness, Valentine! Whoa, no!
Oh,
Move over
man.
to King Booker. Really, though, this one was a long time coming because ever since he joined the WWE roster in 2001 as part of the Invasion, it was clear Booker T was an absolute superstar. But for whatever reason, probably in part because he was a WCW guy,
Gonna guess the next three: Taker, JBL, and Cena. So this is 2006. 2007 is definitely Taker. 2008, JBL. 2009, Cena. I said no. Oh, dang. Randy was on Raw. I was going to say it got to be Randy in 09, right? But Randy was on Raw. Cena wasn't on SmackDown in 09. He was on Raw. And then Taker was still on SmackDown. JBL, I think, was still on SmackDown. Yeah, Cena was on Raw around that time. So 09 is Jeff Hardy for sure. Yeah, 09 is Jeff Hardy for sure.
Vince McMahon never went all in with him. That was until 2006, as it was at this point that the Texan would morph into King Booker, a comedic heel who carries his court of cronies with him at all times. And it would be that court who even helped him to win the World Heavyweight title in the summer of
I
this
remember
year,
they were fighting
that
in the
marking
hospital.
first world title Booker had
That
ever
was
held under
when
the WWE
McMahon and Austin was fighting in the
then,
hospital.
he's the only logical choice for Best SmackDown Act of 2006, just like the only logical choice for Best SmackDown Act of 2007 is the
Come on, man. Come on, man. Too easy.
Undertaker. What made 2007 the year of the Undertaker?
09 might
over on
have
the
been
Blue Brand?
Kane.
Well, while he had been
For
a
SmackDown?
exclusive for
No.
a while by this point, with one of
Like I said, 09 is Jeff Hardy for sure. 09 got to be Jeff Hardy for sure. Kane might be. This is a crazy pause. This is a crazy pause just because of how Undertaker is staring into our souls right now. As a matter of fact, let me get off this screen.
being then that Teddy Long would
All right, we'll pause it on Teddy. But yeah, 09 definitely got to be like Jeff Hardy or something. If it's not 09, it's 2010. And if it's not 2010, then CM Punk is 2010. But I don't know. Maybe it might be Kane. Who knows? I don't know.
often have people go one-on-one with him at a moment's notice. It would be here that he finally became the top babyface of the show when he won the World Heavyweight title. And in doing this, he'd go on to start the streak within the streak of show-stealing WrestleMania matches when he and Dave Bautista absolutely killed it at Mania 23 in a bout over that belt. That's right, in 2007 there was no better representative of what SmackDown could be than The Undertaker. And that's pretty impressive considering how far into his career he was here. Would he still have this spot as 2008 arrived? Well, no, because that year the spot would have instead moved over to our...
Oh, what?
Pulls up, three-pointer. Bang! Bang! It's good! Wins the game at the buzzer!
Man, I ain't got. Do I got any Jeff Hardy stuff on here, bro? I know. Bro. I gotta have some Jeff Hardy stuff on here, bro. Hold on, man. What's this? Come on, man. Come on, man.
Our next subject, Jeff Hardy. Now, it's easy to forget at this point, but back in 2008, Jeff Hardy was so over, he was arguably a bigger deal than even John Cena.
That's
Hell,
true.
His merchandise was actually outselling Mr. Hustle, Loyalty, and Respect for a while there. And that was certainly a good thing for SmackDown because with the charismatic Enigma being a Blue Brand exclusive here, it meant his show always shone whenever he was on it. Seriously, it didn't matter who he was going up against here. Jeff Hardy was simply undeniable as the 2000s came close to its end. So over was he, in fact, by the time 2008 was done, he'd even have won the WWE Championship from...
I swear, back around this time, Jeff Hardy was the only reason why I watched SmackDown. Jeff Hardy was the only reason why I watched SmackDown. I didn't care about nobody else on the show. It was only Jeff Hardy. It was only Jeff Hardy. And John Cena was the only reason why I watched Raw. I didn't care about nobody else except those two when I was a kid, bro. You couldn't tell me otherwise, bro.
Triple H. Not that he'd still have that belt as 2009 fully got going, though. Now, by that point, he'd be gone from the company, and in his place, stewardship of SmackDown would be moved back
Taker
to
again?
Undertaker. That's right.
Okay, I thought it was going to have CM Punk or something. Okay. I wasn't expecting that.
As the Blue Brand started to face perception problems when it came to how important it was in comparison to Raw, it needed a stabilizing force to stand at its center. And as the decade drew to a close, there was no better stabilizing force than The Undertaker. Honestly, whether we're talking about his feud with CM Punk or his excellent WrestleMania program with Shawn Michaels, everything the Dead Man did here turned to gold. But even for as strong as Mark Calloway was in 2009, there was one person who managed to serve as his Achilles heel, his kayfabe brother Kane. And as 2010 arrived, it would be Kane who was able to usurp The Undertaker and become the...
Hey, Gino said 2009. You was a year off, Gino. You was close. You said 2009. 2010 is Kane. You was close.
top act of SmackDown himself. Sure, Kane wasn't exactly a fresh face by the time the 2010s began. Hell, he'd been a focus upon act in WWE ever since late 1997 by this point. That said, it would be here that he reached probably his highest watermark as part of the Blue Brand. And the reason we say this is because this was when he not only beat his kayfabe brother 3 times on pay-per-view, but he also won the World Heavyweight title and got a proper run on top for the first time. The only negative we could say about Kane's 2010 on SmackDown, in fact, was that it inevitably had to end. But at least when it did, our next subject
Randall.
Pulls up, three-pointer. Bang! Bang! It's good! Wins the game at the buzzer!
I don't remember much about Randy Orton's run in 2011.
There to pick up the mantle of top guy and carry the Blue Brand into 2011. That's right. It's time for us to talk about Randy Orton. Of course, when we talk about what made 2011 such a special year for Randy Orton on the Blue Brand, we have to talk about Christian, as it was after the
White
Vikings got drafted
Mamba.
Thursday nights following WrestleMania 27 that he entered into a feud with Captain Guerrero.
This is where he lost to Mark Henry for the world title. Okay. I forget. Yeah, this is when like the Hall of Pain Mark Henry started and stuff like that. 2012 with Jack Swagger, 2013 is Mark Henry, 2014 and Cena. 2012 Jack Swagger. Oh yeah, Jack Swagger was heavyweight champion.
Charisma over the World Heavyweight title. And in doing so, he'd give us one of the better angles of the year, as the pair switched the belt back and forth for a while there. As you would expect, though, in the end it would be Orton who was standing tall, as he was clearly the bigger star for Vince McMahon at the time. Honestly, so big of a star was he, you could argue that there was no better choice to helm SmackDown during this period when the brand had never felt less vital. Would he continue in this role during 2012 as well, however? No, because that year the top Blue Brand act would be none other than Sheamus.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, well, 2012 was perhaps the lowest of low points for SmackDown in terms of its general perception and importance within the WWE ecosystem.
Why did I blur this out?
It still did have some highlights. And in 2012, that year, the top
Why did I blur that out?
would be none other than Sheamus. Yes, well, 2012 was perhaps the lowest of low points for SmackDown in terms of its general perception and importance within the WWE ecosystem. It still did have some highlights. And during
What did Mike say?
It's a shame for fame, mustard hair. Whatever he said.
What the heck? What the heck is wrong with you, bro? What the heck is wrong with you, bro? What the heck is wrong with you, bro? Get out of here, Mike.
that year, the biggest highlight of all was probably Sheamus. Why is this? Well, this was the year he won the World Heavyweight title after beating Daniel Bryan for the honor in just 18 seconds at WrestleMania 28. Sure, it wasn't like the Irishman was a Thursday night exclusive at this point, as no one was anymore. But even if this was the case, he was able to represent the brand about as well as anyone could as he defended the belt against all comers. Seriously, looking at the roster back then, there really is no one else who was holding SmackDown up to the level he was in 2012. Hell, he'd still be the best representative of SmackDown all the way up until a new face rose to the forefront in 2013 to take that spot. That of Alberto Del Rio. That's
Alberto
right. 2 years after winning the WWE title for the first time during the summer of Punk, Alberto Del Rio would find himself at a point where Vince McMahon felt comfortable giving him the keys to a whole brand. Sure, it's true that there wasn't much of a brand to speak of anymore in 2013 when it came to SmackDown.
Bro, I saw like a month ago that Ricardo passed. Was that real? Ricardo Rodriguez? I don't think so. I hope not. Yeah. Man, bro's still alive. Bro's still alive. He 39. He chilling. Okay, I seen something that he passed. Nah. No, he's fine. Yeah. Don't scare me like that, man. I paused the video and everything. Man, don't scare me like that, bruh.
SmackDown, as their entire roster was also appearing on Raw every week, meaning the brand extension was only existing on a technicality, but that didn't stop the Mexican star from doing everything he could to keep the old magic alive. How did he do this? Well, by defending the title, which still technically served as the top prize of Thursday nights against any and all comers whenever he had the chance. Yes, whether it be the Big Show, Dolph Ziggler, or anyone else, Del Rio refused to give up on SmackDown, as to him, it was still his home. And that kept the show going for long enough that in 2014, a new best act of the brand in the form of Roman Reigns to give it a...
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. What? 2014 was not Roman. Bro, I thought it was going to be Seth or something. But Seth was on Raw, though. What? 2014?
Another brief burst of life. Now, don't get us wrong here. We're not saying that when Roman Reigns
You said you
arrived on
thought
the scene
Ziggler
as a
or
solo
Rusev?
star in 2014, it suddenly turned SmackDown back into the A
But it
show.
had Bray.
No, in the immediate aftermath of the Shield's breakup, this was very much still a glorified recap show for Raw. But even if that was the
I
case,
thought I was
there
gonna
were
say
still some
Dean,
diamonds
but
left to be
I
found
don't
over
think
on the
Dean
blue
popped off
brand.
until like
And the biggest
2015
and shiniest of these was
or
undeniably
2016.
the Big Dog. After all, it was partially on SmackDown that
Suffering
Reigns first showed early
succotash.
glimmers of what he would later become during feuds against the likes of Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. Really, given it was a very clear B show by now, this was the best place for the future tribal chief to develop his skill set. And had the brand split been in effect then, it would have served him best to be there full time. But sadly, it wasn't, and so he wasn't. No, instead, he'd just serve as the unofficial top guy of the brand, just as he did in 2015 as well. Yes, during the last year... Before the second brand split took effect, it was Roman Reigns who was once again serving as SmackDown's most dominant act. And that was something he managed to do even after he failed to beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 31. Obviously then, to keep standing so strong even in defeat was quite an achievement.
You said this when you stopped watching 2015.
He was going to be the face of the entire promotion one day. What were some of
Let's
the Big
just
Dog's
keep
highlights
glazing
on
him
Blu-ray
then.
here?
2014 to
His continued feud
2025
with Bray
Roman.
Wyatt for one, a feud which at the time looked like it was going to become a generational one for each man. And as if that wasn't enough, there was also the reforging of his partnership with his old Shield brother, Dean Ambrose. Come 2016, though, as the brand split was formally reinstituted, Roman would find himself being shipped over to Raw.
2016
so,
is
because of that,
oh,
the new face that ran the place over on Friday.
Pulls up, three-pointer. Bang! Bang! It's good! Wins the game at the buzzer!
okay. I swear I thought 2016 was going to be Dean Ambrose. I swear I thought 2016 was going to be Dean Ambrose. I'll take AJ. I'll take AJ.
Friday nights would be none other than AJ Styles. Now, there were a few different people we could have gone with here, as 2016 SmackDown was actually one of the better
said, I
eras
hope
of
KO is
modern-day
next.
WWE. Hell, it was the era which saw names like Dean Ambrose and Becky Lynch rise to the top. But perhaps even more than that, it was the period where AJ Styles first became WWE Champion. And what a shocker that was, not because AJ wasn't great. No, he still was one of the best in the world here, as he remained fresh off his run in New Japan Pro Wrestling, where he'd led the Bullet Club and won the IWGP Heavyweight title 2 times. It was more because the idea that Vince McMahon would book him so strongly felt like a pipe dream at best. But the boss did book the Phenomenal One strongly here, as after beating John Cena at SummerSlam, AJ would go on to dethrone the past and future Jon Moxley as champ just 1 month later. And that made him the undisputed top act of SmackDown during the first year of this new brand split. Would he still be the ace when the second year came around in 2017, however? Why, yes he would, and that's why he's also our choice for that.
Back to back?
Pulls up, three-pointer. Bang! Bang! It's good! Wins the game at the buzzer!
Back to back though? Back to back though?
Year. What made AJ Styles 2017 on SmackDown just as strong as his 2016 had been? Well, how about the fact that he was the face of a roster which included names like John Cena, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, and Kevin Owens, just to name a few, and he was able to keep the gold around his waist for a good portion of the year. Hell, by the time 2017 was over, the Phenomenal One would actually be a 2-time WWE champion, something even the most optimistic of fans could have never foreseen happening.
Should have
when he
been
first joined
James
the company.
Ellsworth.
Basically,
Nah, I'm
all
good
of
on
this
that.
is to say that during this 12-month period, the North Carolinian was arguably the best wrestler in all of WWE.
Wait a
not just
minute.
SmackDown.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What did they just say?
Basically, all of this is to say that during this 12-month period, the North Carolinian was arguably the best wrestler in all of WWE.
I thought this dude was from Georgia. Am I missing something? Did I miss something? I thought this dude was from Augusta. Nah, fam. That's what I'm saying. Did I miss something? Am I tripping? He's from North Carolina. Nah. 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 I've been lied to. I've been lied to for years. I've been lied to for years. This dude was born in North Carolina. I've been lied to for years. That just broke my heart. What in the world? For the longest, I thought he was from Augusta, Georgia, or Gainesville, Georgia. I don't know what to think anymore, bro. I don't know what to think anymore.
Not just SmackDown. And had things been just a little different, that statement would have probably applied to 2018 too. But in the end, it didn't, because 2018 turned out to be.
Yeah, this is a good one. This is a good one right here.
Three-pointer. Bang! Bang! It's good.
This is a good one. 2018, I get, yep, that's right. A good one right there.
She first started gaining some momentum in 2016 when she was moved over to the Blue brand, and in the process, separated from her other 4 horsewomen stablemates. It wasn't until 2018 that Becky Lynch really broke out, as this was the point she developed her character of the Man. Who was the Man? Well, she was an anti-authority anti-hero who felt very much like a PG-era version of Stone Cold Steve Austin, and who was easily the most entertaining thing on WWE TV here. Sure, like with Austin, she was originally portrayed as a heel, but again, like with Austin, pretty quickly fans would force the company to turn her babyface, as in the wake of Roman Reigns having to take an indefinite leave of absence to deal with a leukemia diagnosis, Becky suddenly became the top babyface in all of WWE, with this being the first time that had ever happened for a major promotion. Would she still be SmackDown's top star in 2019, though? Well, no, because that year things would once again shift back over to a return to Roman Reigns.
What the heck? What the heck? Bro, I'm tired of seeing bro on this freaking list, man. I can't. He can't keep getting away with it. Oh my God, bro. And you know that we not done with this list, bro. He gonna be on there for 2021, 2022, 2023. Bro. What in the world? Man.
You can't keep getting away with it! You can't keep getting away with it!
Man. Oh my God.
Yes, well, he was yet to reach his final form as the Tribal Chief, and while fans still weren't on board with him as a top babyface act by and large, 2019 was an important one for Roman Reigns, as it was the year he returned to the ring after getting his health issues under control. How would he do now that he was back in the fold over on Friday nights? Well, as SmackDown debuted on Fox, with this putting the show on network TV for the first time in years, the big dog was able to stand as the cornerstone of the Blue brand. So much of a cornerstone would he be here that when Becky Lynch moved over to Raw, it would be Reigns who was responsible for keeping SmackDown feeling like the A show that it had now become as a result of the network change it had gone through. And he'd do this without even having to hold the WWE or Universal titles at all. Hell, all he'd have to do is be there every week. That said, for as strong as 2019 was for the big dog, it would be the following year that things really turned around for him. And that's why he's our choice for the best SmackDown act of 2020, too. Come on now, there really was no other choice for this one. As well, SmackDown, and wrestling as a whole, was struggling to get anyone invested on account of the lockdown being in effect, Roman Reigns was taking a sabbatical away from the ring in order to take care of his health, given the fact that he was immunocompromised. But he wouldn't be gone forever.
You say you gotta agree. I agree with it.
Returned, and this would be the point.
This is a Roman tribute.
Strowman to win the Universal title. But it wasn't just the fact Roman had won the title again here, which made him the top blue brand act of the year. No, even more than that, it was the fact that it was here he turned heel, aligned himself with Paul Heyman, and morphed into the Tribal Chief. And after spending what remained of the year getting his cousins the Usos to bend the knee, he started to form the bloodline around him. Obviously then, the bloodline would go on to dominate WWE TV for the next several years, which is exactly why Roman Reigns is also our choice for the best SmackDown wrestler of 2021. What was it that made 2021 an arguably even stronger year for Roman Reigns over on the blue brand than 2020 had been? Well, after the bloodline had gotten started in strong fashion the prior year, it was here they firmly rooted themselves as the dominating force of Friday nights. And with the Tribal Chief in particular, the way he did this was by keeping a hold of the Universal title for the entire calendar year, and at no point even feel like he was coming close to losing it. Really, while the hot streak of 2022 to 2024 wouldn't have started quite yet, some of the building blocks for what that era would become.
He gonna be the best wrestler for the rest of the years, bro.
WWE had available to them, Roman was positioned right there, front and center for anyone who was channel surfing to see. And this made him a bigger star than he had been before, as he fully began to ascend to the level of the John Cena of his generation. Hell, so over would he be here, he'd still be the top act on not just the blue brand, but the entire company too, once 2022 came around. No, 2022 was probably WWE's most important year in a long time, because it was the point that, with Vince McMahon being ousted from the company for the first time amidst a wave of scandal, Triple H would take control of the book. And with his booking being a lot better received in general, it led to a surge in interest for the promotion again. Just as well, the bloodline was starting to hit.
They need to calm down.
With Sami Zayn now joining the fray, the whole thing went into overdrive. Of course, right at the top of this storyline, though, was the head of the table, as by now he wasn't just the Universal Champion, he was also the WWE Champion, with this making him the absolute undisputed top dog in WWE. And with SmackDown being his regular home, this meant the show continued to be the A show, as whenever he appeared there, it was appointment television. Really, the only question at this point was, could anyone overtake the Tribal Chief in 2023? And the answer to that was no, as he'd also be our choice for top spot of that year on SmackDown. Sure, by this point, some people...
Bro, what? Bro, it went from 2019 to 2023. Bro, it went from 2019 to 2023, and this dude is still the best wrestler on SmackDown. 4 years of greatness, bro. What? My OTC. Roman is our Bruno for real.
We all remember the chaos that was the initial fan reaction to WrestleMania 39 after all.
This man got a lot of accomplishments.
No, he'd keep hold of it all throughout 2023, as now on a part-time schedule, his appearances started to get fewer and further between. But then this only served to make those appearances more special when they happened, and that only added more juice to the Bloodline Civil War, which he was right at the center of on SmackDown this year. Basically, what we're saying is that this was a case of absence making the heart grow fonder. And as WWE's hot streak continued, it only further built the mystique of the head of the table as being an unstoppable force. That said, this run was always going to end eventually, and in 2024, that end would come at the hands of our choice for best SmackDown wrestler of this year.
Thank you. Get Roman out of here.
Now, if there was anyone who could compete with Roman Reigns as being the face of this current era of WWE,
my God, I can breathe now. What in the world?
Because after jumping from AEW in 2022, he'd almost instantly become the top babyface of the entire promotion. Sure, it would take him a while to finish his story, but 2024 would be the year he finally did this at WrestleMania 40, when, in probably the high watermark of this period, he finally dethroned Roman Reigns. Where would he go from there? Well, from there, the American Nightmare would defend the belt against all comers, becoming the new face of SmackDown in the process, as the likes of AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, and Solo Sikoa all took their shots at him and ultimately failed. Really, it felt like no one could beat him here as Cody reached that upper echelon of overness that few are ever able to get to. Hell, he'd still be in possession of the belt as 2025 came around, and he was continuing to be the top SmackDown act of that year as well. Sure, Cody Rhodes would spend a decent portion of 2025 without the WWE title around his waist, as after dropping it to John Cena at WrestleMania 41, it would remain in the possession of Mr. Hustle, Loyalty, and Respect all the way up until SummerSlam. But even if this is the case, the American Nightmare remained the top dog in WWE as far as SmackDown is concerned. And that's because even when he wasn't the champ, he'd still be the one who got talked about the most by fans. Obviously then, now that he's champ again, the talk has only gotten louder as Rhodes continues to be the face of this current era. Honestly, it doesn't look like this is a spot he's going to be giving up anytime soon, and with him still having a home on SmackDown, that's helped to keep this show feeling important as Raw has moved over to Netflix. Will Cody still be the guy on Friday nights when 2026 comes around though? We guess we'll have to wait and see. But even if he isn't, he's already earned a place in the history of the brand by being the best of a specific year, just like everyone else we've looked at today.
W video, man. Another W video by Wrestle With Andy. Oh, I ain't gonna lie, that Roman still kind of pissed me off. But yeah, man, who y'all think gonna be Wrestler of the Year next year for SmackDown? Is it gonna be Cody again? Is it gonna be Drew? Are they finally gonna give Drew his due? Damian Priest, Aleister Black, Randy, Oba. All right. He's an Oba or Jacob. Excuse me. Julia. I don't know about Julia. I want to say Bianca, but I don't even know if Bianca coming back soon or not. But yeah, man, W video.